Good day. This is Daniela Ellerbeck, Legal Advisor to Freedom of Religion South Africa, commonly known as 4SA. Today I want to talk to you about the Hate Speech Bill, a proposed law that the South African Parliament is considering making. A law which is, ironically, reminiscent of the Apartheid government's brutal laws, which saw the state censor speech and jail people. Specifically, I want to highlight how the version of the bill currently in front of Parliament will make it easier for you to be criminally prosecuted and jailed for up to 8 years than for a court to order you to apologize and pay a fine. Now, in 2021, the Constitutional Court gave a very important decision on hate speech in South Africa in the case of John Xolani. This was a civil and not a criminal case, brought under the Promotion of Equality and Prevention of Unfair Discrimination Act, commonly known as PEPUDA or the Equality Act. Now, the Concord used this opportunity to set their record straight on what hate speech was for purposes of the Equality Act. Specifically, the court struck down the Act's wide definition of hate speech for being too broad, even for a civil law. Importantly, under the Equality Act, a court only has the power to impose civil remedies, such as a fine or an order to apologize, or a wide variety of other creative solutions. However, a court does not have the power to send you to jail, and you will not create a criminal record. In other words, hate speech in terms of the Equality Act is not a crime. Now, the hate speech bill is proposing making it a crime. And a major concern is that its proposed definition of what should be deemed to be hate speech is much wider than the Constitutional Court's definition of hate speech in a civil matter. It will therefore be easier for you to be found guilty of the crime of hate speech and go to jail under the bill than be ordered to apologize or pay a fine under the Equality Act. And this is completely topsy-turvy in law, as the standard by which a person is supposed to be found guilty in a criminal matter is supposed to be higher and more difficult to meet than in a civil matter. Now, simply put, it should be easier for someone to prove that you must apologize than for the state to prove that you should go to jail. So, what does the bill say is hate speech? Now, in simple terms, the bill defines hate speech as an expression that is 1, harmful or incites harm, and 2, promotes or propagates hatred against 3, a group of people specifically listed in the bill. Essentially, the bill takes the Equality Act standard, widens it, and then criminalizes it. To explain, the bill's first element, harm, is much wider than the Equality Act's definition of harm. Specifically, the bill includes vague and novel forms of harm, such as social harm and even emotional harm, basically hurt feelings. And despite international recommendations, it does not require a causal link between speech and actual harm suffered in the real world. So it's unnecessary for someone to prove that your words caused them, for example, actual emotional harm. Now, for lawyers, in Xolani, the Concord did say that for purposes of the Equality Act, it is unnecessary to prove a causal link between the expression and actual harm. But in the creation of a crime, the threshold needs to be higher. The bill also fails to define the second element, hatred, which, as set out in a previous video, is highly problematic, as hatred is the quintessential element of the hate speech bill. Now, all of this results in a very big, very wide net, which will catch many expressions and deem them to be hate speech. This is especially concerning given that the bill also criminalizes the distribution and display of hate speech, while only providing narrow grounds for exemption that do not seem to provide strong enough protection for artists, academics, journalists, or religious people. Now, the bill is currently being considered by Parliament's second house, the National Council of Provinces. It will be open for public comment soon as Friday, the 3rd week of April. Now, 4SA will continue to monitor the process and alert you as soon as the bill opens up for public comments. So please do keep an eye out on our Facebook page, Freedom of Religion SA, and our website, www.frsa.org.za.
This is Michael Swain of 4SA. Remember to like and share this video and then click on the subscribe button to make sure that you never miss our video updates on vital religious freedom issues.